Manever I say ma PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV there, osia dem yopo.
Since the election of the presidential candidates for the various political parties, everybody have been wondering why, as at now, none of them has come out with their running mates. That's the MPP and the NDC, Mahama and Bawumia. Why they have not yet come out with their running mates? And when the question was directed to Twum Boafo, he suggested that he will go for Naana Opoku Agyemang as Mahama's running mate. And he also gives some features that he thinks is best for Mahama to choose her as his running mate. Without much ado, I would like you to join me listening to what he said. Before you go, please, if you're a new member here, do subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell for more updates. Like and also share for other new members to watch. The more you like, the more the channel go viral. Please do well, like the channel for us so that everything will go on well for us, and the page will be there to provide you with the best and the quality news. Thank you very much.
Discuss the matter of running mates, and of course there are interesting names coming up in both parties, the major parties. I'll start with Mr. Twum Boafo again. This time around I have an hour, so you have 10 minutes on this particular topic.
What do you want me to say? You're going to get me into trouble. Anyway, listen. No, I'm not. I'm not afraid of anything. You know, I'm a dead goat. So anyway, let me be very simple, very direct when it comes to the NDC. For me, if I were to be advising President Mahama on who to choose as his vice presidential candidate, I would simply tell him to choose Professor Naana again. Reason is very simple. If you remove her, you are going to give the MPP a topic that they are going to discuss and turn it into the news. If you remove her, what explanation are we going to give to the women of this country who are encouraged that a major party has chosen? I'm not talking about Pakwesi Ndum choosing a woman. I'm talking about one of the two major parties who are likely to win the election actually having chosen a woman. Because we, the men, have destroyed this country. The truth of the matter is that we, the men, we have destroyed this country. And so, maybe if we had a policy that you should choose a woman as a vice presidential candidate, so that when you are doing something stupid, she can knock you on the head like our mothers used to do and tell you, maybe would have been a better place. Because I can bet you that if Akufo-Addo had a woman as his vice president, we won't be where we are. Because, madam, our mothers, I don't want to go another level. You know something? Our mothers have a way of counseling us. You're a mother. You have a way of counseling your sons and your husband.
Is a woman.
But you know what? I don't want to go into that. But let's leave her there. She's also trying to become vice president to Bawumia. But I'm saying that women have shown. We the men, we have children, we women, we leave them. And the children grow up. It's not the money, it is how they are brought up. My experience in life, I think women have a certain, I think it's genotypic, a certain way of counseling you that you tend to, even if you don't agree, you will think again. Maybe in thinking again, you will change your mind about some of the things that you are doing. I have a bias for Auntie Naana. Yeah, maybe because I know her. That's my bias. And I am not hiding the bias. But I also think that she's very accomplished. First woman vice chancellor. The list goes on and on and on and on. I don't need to introduce her here. What she did at the education ministry is still sitting there. After what Napo came to destroy, pretend like he didn't know she was there, all the things that they did there since she left the ministry, they haven't done anything To quote Kwesi, they have done FOCO. They've destroyed this country. Look at what is going on now in our education. The children are going to school like rainbow. There's indigo class, a violet class, blue class. The children go to school for 3 weeks, then they come home and sit at home for 3 months. Right? As we speak now, we have reintroduced schools under trees and going to school in cycles. So for me, Professor Nana's record in government, and mind you, she was an unwilling person to come into government. I know the antecedents which went into her even accepting to be a minister. And this is what she did. So as vice president, I think what she brings to the table is great counsel, humility, and make no mistake, she is as sharp as a Santoku knife. There's no discussion you can have with her. There is no discussion you can have with her. The last time I met her, she asked me, "You've lost weight. What happened to you?" And I said, "Oh, I haven't been well." Then she immediately asked me, "Are you diabetic?" And I said, "Yes." And then she sat me down and gave me a whole raft of things that I should and shouldn't be doing. That is how sharp she is. I'm talking not too long ago. She comes to the table with knowledge, experience, and a certain purity and honesty that this country needs. As for the other people, you know that as we speak now, right? Opoku Agyemang wants to be vice president. The same person who couldn't build a cathedral, now he wants to be vice president and tweeting about unnecessary tweets. I don't know who put him on Twitter, right? Masa, where do you suffer? Do you suffer? Don't go and embarrass yourself by aligning yourself with this criminal lot. There's Napo, who recently got married, because a vice president must have a wife. Did you see the wedding pictures? Those oily wedding pictures. The wedding pictures that look like none of them, the bride and the bridegroom, were not interested in the wedding. Did you see it? Did you see happily ever after in those pictures? Right? And then there's Frema, who has all of a sudden now become prominent everywhere she's there. Whether it is cookathon, buffathon, sleepathon, she's everywhere. Every ton or hobby. Right? And then who else named them? I've named the rest of them. They are busy undermining each other. Yeah, he too. Mr. Stem. He too. The man claims he's doctor this, doctor that. Nobody knows where he went to school. Another scam artist. Right? We have to.
What about those who are also interested in the NDC ticket? Why are you not mentioning them?
Kwesi, I have told you several times that I will never stand outside my house and lob a grenade into my house.
Oh, okay.
It's not, if you're a politician, you shouldn't stand outside your house and cock a grenade and throw. There may be geriatrics in your house. No, I don't do that. I have told you that Professor Nana, in my opinion, so are the other people, I'm not talking about them. They are not important. These other people are doing everything. By the time they are done, they will introduce another stealer to come and re-steal what they haven't stolen. Who, Nyame and Pata, in 7 years, they will come and tell us that what Bawumia did, he didn't know anything about what Bawumia was doing. Bawumia, he doesn't even need a vice president. He should be his own vice president. Seeing that he didn't know what he did when he was vice president, he should be his own vice president. But the state of play, as we have in this government right now, is that there are people who are jostling to occupy a certain spot, so that they can go and continue the criminality that has been going on. And let me give Uncle Kwesi his due. In our party too, the same thing is going on. But to an extent, what those other people are seeking is the vice presidency, but not necessarily to continue with any draws, because there hasn't been any draws that we have engaged in that way. So the vice presidential stakes are going to be interesting, but at the end of the day, no vice president has his face or her face on the ticket. People go out there, they go and vote for the person who is the flag bearer. The vice presidential candidate, I don't have any empirical evidence as to whether it actually brings anything to the table or not. Maybe it does. Some researchers will tell you it does, and it complements the person. But at the end of the day, it's the candidate that we go and vote for. So that's my take on that.
Thank you. Thank you very much. This is Jekumi Koforido, who says the new finance minister also have problems with Foforiata, like what they did to Martin Amido. Lara.
So my starting point on this vice president will be to quote Amos Territory. Amos Territory says that how can two people work together unless they agree? I think that should be the premise. How can two people work together unless they agree? Now, when you read our constitution also about the vice president, it says or gives the vice president or put the vice president in certain positions. That means that when the vice president is being chosen, a lot of critical thought has to be had. Also based on the experience we've had in this country. So the constitution says that one, the president must designate his vice president before the election. Two, the constitution says that the qualification, the set of qualifications that applies to who becomes president also applies to the vice president. Okay. Three, the constitution says that when the president is not around, then the vice president shall act as president. Four, if the president dies or can't be president permanently, as in within his term, then the vice president will act as president. Now, these are all the constitution things. In our experience as a country, as in the Fourth Republic, we've seen he kicked my groin. We also it. We've seen the sad incident, I think on July 24th, 2012, when President Professor Tamils passed, and His Excellency John became president. And we are witnessing now what His Excellency Dr. Bamia is saying about his role as vice president. That's elicited a lot of debates in this country. So, for me, I take the vice presidential position very, very seriously, because it is as important as the president itself, because when the president isn't around, he's going to act as president. And two, because it's a joint ticket, then as in the thinking by the framers of the constitution that the vice president should be somebody who at least the president would think through issues with and then drive the Ghana agenda. You understand? So even though in the mind of the framers of the constitution, when we are voting for the president, we are actually also voting for the vice president. The fact of the matter is that when we are voting, our sole consideration is with the president. So really, the choice is really not Ghanaian's choice, even though he's deemed to be voted by us. We really, because when we are voting, our focus is on the president itself, the presidential candidate itself. So they have vice presidents chosen. Because the presidents usually, and based on our experience, are usually sponsored by political parties. Now, if the presidents are sponsored by political parties, and 2024 we'll have the first independent candidate as president. So now, when he's also deciding on who will become his vice president, It means that a lot of deep thinking must go through. And I said, how can two people work together unless they agree? So when the political parties, I've seen my brother here give a fine manifesto as to why he thinks Professor Naana should be there. But clearly, this is not a decision that ought to be just the decision of the candidate. It has to also be the decision of the party who's going to sponsor the candidate. So it's not a decision that should be taken like we don't want a situation where any vice president at all can have the cockroach audacity to attempt to do what or to tell us what His Excellency Dr. Bawumia is saying. You understand? Because, like I'm saying, the term is like a journey. It's a journey to a certain end. How can you tell me that you agree to undertake a journey and you do not believe in the final destination of the so-called journey that you were asked to partake in? We shouldn't tolerate any deceit anymore. So when the political parties are deciding together with their presidential candidates who to make their running mate, they must make sure that having the interest of Ghana at heart, the candidate is a candidate that first of all represents, believes in, and is committed to undertake the kind of program they think will benefit the country. Because we should not tolerate a situation where the vice president can come years after and attempt to tell us that, oh, everything, as my brother said, will disavow all the critical steps that his president undertook.
Thank you for staying tuned. PENDREAM TV really appreciate your time. Please, if you have not yet subscribed, please do so for us. Hit the notification bell for more updates. Like and also share for other new members to watch as well. Thank you.
PENDREAM TV now, so far so good. Say open online portal e Ghana. Nipa share, nipa follow, nipa comment here. To my best of knowledge, without any biases, PENDREAM TV.